Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today we're going to be looking at 3 new vintage style custom figures from Stan Solo, and they are the Force Ghosts. On the left we have Anakin Skywalker, in the middle we have Yoda, and on the right we have Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now these 3 figures are seen at the very end of the Return of the Jedi movie when the Death Star has been destroyed and Darth Vader has been saved from the dark side of the Force, and they all appear in a vision to Luke standing on Endor. Now these figures have been given a sort of ethereal blue glow to them, so they do actually look more like you see them in the movie. Each one has been sort of cast with that slight tinge to the plastic, and I actually think it works really quite nicely. But let's take a closer look at each of the figures. First up we have Anakin Skywalker, and as you can see here he's in his Jedi robes. Now this is based on the last 17 version of Anakin Skywalker, which I will bring in here. So you can see basically Chris has taken that as the basis for this figure, but it's been cast, as I say, with a plastic that's got a slight sort of blue tinge to it. If we look at his face, you can see he's got a little bit of a sort of semi-transparent effect going on there, and just to make him look more ghostly. The rest of the body looks much like the original figure does. If we turn it round, you can see that the copyright information that's very faintly there on the leg of this original one has been replaced with an SS. This figure has exactly the same sort of weight and feel of this original Anakin, but as I say, he's got this sort of blue tinge to him. He's one of the figures, I have to say, when growing up I didn't really sort of understand what the point of this guy was, but you know, now as an adult collector I realise why everyone wants to get this one in the collection. But it's nice to have this new version, especially as we have the rest of the Force Ghosts to go with him. Next up we have this little Force Ghost version of Yoda, and you can see that he has got quite a sort of ghostly look to him. He's got little blue eyes there, and the plastic used for the skin is just a little bit more sort of blue and ethereal. Now this version has an all new body. The head is based on the original sort of vintage one here, but the body has been cast so that all of the robes are now made out of plastic, because as we know the original one has a fabric cape to him, but this one has been made so that the cape and everything are now sort of solidly cast into the body. He's still got quite a lot of articulation, you can still move his arms like this, and now he has little movable legs as well. It looks to me like the hands and the feet have actually been cast in one type of plastic, and the arms and the legs have been cast in a different, so they've sort of been joined together. It doesn't look like the hands have been painted there, they've actually been sort of stuck in. There's a nice little bit of detailing on his belt there, so you can see he has little pouches and bits sort of stuck around his belt, and this guy does come with a little accessory, which is a grey version of his cane that does fit very nicely in his hand. So we'll stand him next to Anakin, then we can take a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi. The final figure is of course Obi-Wan Kenobi, and what Chris has done here is he's taken the basic body of the Anakin figure and then used a vintage style Obi-Wan Kenobi head on top of it. I can see why he's done this, because if we bring in an original Obi-Wan Kenobi, that as a Force Ghost wouldn't look particularly good. This was one of the earliest figures that Kenner produced, so at that time they were doing these sort of vinyl capes, and he had the lightsaber built into his arm. I think if Chris had just taken this version and turned him into a Force Ghost, it wouldn't have looked very good, because it doesn't really sort of match with the Anakin figure. It's a completely different style and sort of construction, because basically over the sort of 7 or 8 years that they were making Star Wars figures, they improved how they made them. So this was a very basic one made at the start, and these were the more complicated ones they made at the end. So I like what Chris has done here, taking the Obi-Wan Kenobi head and sticking it on Anakin's body. You get a very nice version of Obi-Wan Kenobi as the Force Ghost. And if you watch the movie, they pretty much look the same at the end of the movie anyway. They're both wearing the same outfits and sort of there in their ethereal blue. So I think this little bit of sort of taking bits from 2 figures to make another one works really quite nicely, and I'm surprised Kenner didn't do this back in the day. It would have been a very easy figure for them to make. That certainly wouldn't have cost them a great deal, because they already had the tooling for both figures anyway. Many years ago when I first started making videos for toy-polloi, I actually made this tiny little diorama display for some Ewoks, and I've just taken it out of a box to see if it works, and miraculously it does still work. You can see that the little flames are still burning there in the background, and this is an ideal display for these 3 figures. I think this is how I will now display them, because it works really quite nicely. The Force Ghost with just a little bit of sort of flickering light behind them, it really does look quite nice. So I'm glad all those years ago I made this diorama. I may end up having to make something different now to display my Ewoks on, because I think on this it works really quite nicely. Now these figures are available from Stan Solo's Etsy shop. You can either buy them as a set of 3 or they are on sale individually. I will put a link to that in the description for this video. You may also like to check out some of my other Stan Solo reviews. I've reviewed, I think, pretty much all the figures that he has produced, and I will put a link to that at the end of this video. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.